this video has been kind of floating around a while and I'm just making a video on it now, but it has been around TikTok for a bit, and this creator has her stitches and duets turned off, which, fair enough, I think she's been getting a lot of flack for this. So this is no shade to the creator specifically herself, but she did mention in the video she specifically sought out a place in which she could hold a monkey. She was a tourist in Thailand from Australia, and she specifically wanted to have an experience where she could hold a monkey, and then saw the conditions that the monkey was kept in and is now horrified at them. And she was unaware of these conditions and everything previously, so I am glad for her now that she is educated about this and that she has learned from this bad experience and is now trying to educate other people on this. But there are very, very, very few instances where some experiences like that, where you can just hold a monkey or something like that, there are almost never any instances where that is done ethically. There are so many places all over the world, not just Thailand. This is not a Thailand specific experience. This is pretty much everywhere, where places capitalize off of tourists wanting to have a unique experience with a wild animal native to that region, or perhaps not even native to that region, just a unique experience with a wild animal. And most of the time, tourists are like her. They haven't done any prior research. They don't know any of the conditions that the animals are kept in or where they were obtained or anything. They're just going into this being like, I want to hold a monkey. That sounds really cool. And yes, it does. It does sound very cool. Monkeys are very interesting animals, and I can get why people want to have experiences like this. However, before you go do pretty much anything on a vacation in another country, in another state, province, whatever, you should do extensive research on all the things you are planning to do, because lots of times, especially involving animals, it is not ethical in their treatment and how they obtained or anything. The needs of the animals are not met, and it is very hard to give safe wild experiences that in a way that is safe and ethical for both the humans involved and the animals involved. So this is kind of what to look out for when planning tourist activities or just activities in general involving wild animals. The first one, and the biggest red flag, is allowing free interactions with not free as in doesn't cost money, but free as in no restrictions with wild animals. This involves things like elephant rides or elephant experiences, where you can ride elephants or they can pick you up with their trunk or you can pet them. Same thing for any large wild animals, so the same as with giraffes and I'm blanking on other animals. I would say rhinos and hippos, but most people aren't stupid enough to free interact with rhinos and hippos anyway, but largely things like elephants and giraffes. So basically anything offering an experience adjacent to elephant rides and that. Another big red flag is pretty much anything involving baby animals. So baby monkeys, baby bear cubs, lion cubs, tiger cubs, cheetah cubs, especially big cats, because they are still at the adorable cute phase and they're not large enough to tear your face off yet. But often they were taken from their parents from the wild and are kept in conditions that are not suitable for them. And again, so avoid places that offer free, restriction-free interactions with baby animals especially. Another red flag is offering places where you can pet wild animals. There are some caveats to this, specifically large mammals. So again, elephants, big cats, monkeys, zebras, giraffes, gazelles, deer, elk, bears. Any place that will let you pet these things is a massive red flag. And even smaller animals too, if there's raccoons or raccoons, monkeys, lemurs, coatis, wallabies, kangaroos. Actually, kangaroos aren't small, but you get the gist. Basically, any place that lets you touch and interact freely with wild animals is a massive red flag. This goes for non-mammals too. You have to be very careful when allowing to free interact with birds, so like birds of prey, eagles, owls, hawks, vultures, any of that, as well as parrots and tropical birds. You have to be very careful. Often, if you're allowed to like hold an owl or something, you have often there's no protective gear. Like, owls have very sharp talons and they can do serious damage. So like if there's no proper safety equipment like falconry gloves or hoods for like falcons and things, that's a red flag. Same going for reptiles. Like if you're holding again, suspicious if there's where you can hold baby crocodiles and alligators, especially without their mouths taped, which sounds worse than it is. It's basically just a way to make sure you don't get bit. And allowing free interactions with really big snakes for specifically kids. There are ways, it's not immediately a red flag if you're allowed to hold a boa constrictor. It is if especially small children are allowed to hold boa constrictors. That's iffy at best. So basically, make sure you do extensive research on any place offering wildlife interactions that you are planning on going to. However, this does not mean that every single place offering wildlife interactions is bad. For example, my university does a marine biology outreach program in which a bunch of volunteers take marine creatures like starfish, hermit crabs, sea cucumbers, etc., take them around to public schools and do a bit of a presentation on the sea creatures, and then allow the children to touch them occasionally, not often, pick them up, and interact with them to learn about them. This is a safe and good wildlife interaction because we know that the animals are well taken care of and the children are told specifically what to do. They have to wash their hands very good before and after, and they are only allowed to touch them with one finger and in order to make sure that these creatures are the least amount of stress that they can. Again, there's often credible wildlife education places like zoos and rescues and just specific education programs that have ambassador animals that are used to interact with the public. And usually these animals are relatively small and not mammals, so this includes snakes, lizards, sometimes turtles, a bunch of birds, and this is almost always entirely fine. Most of the time, these animals are well cared for by professionals with a background in animal biology and zoology, and almost all of the time, the ambassador animals are either captive bred or rescues that, for some reasons due to injury or imprinting or other conditions, are unable to return to the wild, so they're kept as ambassadors and often fosters for other rescues. So you can look for these programs in your local area or wherever you're visiting and make sure they have accredited professionals, good reviews, and good conditions. The animals need to be kept in big enough enclosures with enough enrichment and have their mental and physical needs to be met. So basically, when going to place, look for the aforementioned red flags in places, do your research, and make sure you're going to credible and safe places to interact with wildlife.